today we're going to be having a look at a track that a subscriber sent me a little while ago. I know it's taken me a while, Dave, to get around to doing this, but I've finally done it for you. So here is the feedback that I promised you, and we're making a video out of it basically, so everyone else can get some benefits from this as well. If you want to go ahead and give Dave a follow on social media, etc., check out some things he's done, I have left the links down below, so go ahead and check them out and give him a follow, show him some support, etc. So big up Dave for sending this in the first place, and we're going to be taking a look at this track today and seeing what things we could add to it or what things we could change, etc., in order to improve or progress the idea that Dave has sent. So let's go ahead and open up the Vision 4X here. I'm going to keep this full screen. The reason for this is I don't want any distractions whilst listening to this. I could bounce this down and listen to this outside of the door as well. Two ways of doing it. So this is going to allow you to take notes while you listen and therefore have something to follow with a structure and purpose each time you approach a new session in the studio. So let's listen and see what we have. Okay, so we're going to stop that here. So a minimal type of drum and bass idea, and like I say, idea, there's a few things that obviously could be added to this, but Dave just was kind enough to send us just an idea that he had started. It's nothing that he's actually finished, so it's just quite a minimal drum and bass style tune. He's got a bass line, he's got some drums there, and it's got a little vocal and a couple of little sounds in there as well. So obviously we could say there's more that could be done in order to fill it up sounds wise, etc. But that's not going to be our main focus today. So what we're going to do is focus on what we already have in front of us. So I think the first thing to maybe look at is this heat map here. So we can see nothing's clipping down below, so nothing's going over here in the red, so that's good. We've got a nice bit of headroom here. But on this heat map here, you can see the red things here. These are your kick drums. So you can see these here going down over the right here. You've got your frequency range, so we go all the way down to 0, all the way up to 20k up the top. So low frequencies, high frequencies up there. So down the bottom here, we've got, like I say, our kick drums in red here. Now your kick drums should be red, so that's all right. But you can see it's only coming down to like 100. It's like as low as it gets. So we seem to be missing like this whole energy area. This should have more energy in it. So you can see it's a little bit up and down as well. There were bits that go red where it's kind of like your sort of maximum potential energy, which is kind of what you want in your sub area, your low frequencies. So your kick and your sub in this area, there should be quite a lot of energy, quite a lot of red down here. So there's a few things to do there. We can bring some more energy to the kick. We can bring more energy to the low frequency area. And let's have a look at how we can do that. So we're just going to close this now and have a look at that. Here we go. So I'm starting off in the drums. You can see Dave sent me the stems, so everything was labeled nice and easy, so it's really easy to follow. That's always the best way to do things. I mean, especially if you're sending stems, you want them to be labeled, but if you're working on the track, try and follow this kind of idea as well. It just makes everything really easy to find and follow and organize. So I put everything into groups. As you can see, I've got my drum group, vocal group, music group, effects group, and bass group. These are all now in their own individual sections, so they can be processed all together or individually within the group. I've also gone and added my own drums to this just as a layer, but I've not completely changed those drums. So the idea is when you're remixing a track or generally trying to add cleaner sort of vibes to something that's sounding a bit rough or sounds a bit lacking in areas, if you like the vibe or the sort of frequencies that you've got going on in the tune, the general idea, you don't really want to detract from them or take them away. You want to try and keep those. So what I've done is I've kept pretty much all the drums that Dave's used, and I've tried to keep the vibe, etc., the same, and a lot of the tonality the same, but I've just reinforced it. So let's listen to the drums on their own as they've had them. So let's just come over here and play this. Okay, so quite a lot going on in there, which is cool. It's always good to have lots of percussion and things going on to keep your drums interesting, in drum and bass especially. Let's focus first of all on the kick drum. So Dave's kick drum originally is like this. Okay, not terrible, but it is missing a lot of that low end information. Okay, but it's got a nice snap to it. So what I've gone and done is, well, first of all, I've just gone and bounced it down to another channel so I can do this. So we've got it over here. And you might notice that a lot of it's gone, but the transient's still there. So this is what I wanted. I wanted to keep the transient from this drum, and then I wanted to start adding my own sort of layers to this. So I think we should have the Vision X open for this, but let's just make this, let's make it smaller so that we can see kind of what's going on at the same time. Let's put it down here. And let's come to this drum now. So you can see now we've got these little sharp kind of like pops here, but we want to start filling up this range down here, like I said. So now I've taken it out, obviously we're missing a bit here, but we want to kind of come, some of it comes down like this and goes red down here. So what I've done is I've gone and, like I said, put my own drums in here. So the first thing is probably to look at this drum here. I have gone and taken the transient off, because remember we're using the transient of the original kick. So I've taken the transient off this one, and together we get. But you also see I've taken the bottom off. Without the bottom being cut off, we get. Okay, so it's got a lot of low end in it, and you can see this starts adding, but it's a little bit kind of messy sort of down here. So I wanted to try and kind of improve this a bit, but I wanted that sort of live tonality. So what I've done is, as I said, cut this, and this has kept that sort of tonality. Okay, and then what I've got and gone and done is I've then gone into Serum. Let's open Serum, and I've used Serum to make a kick as well. So let's just listen to this soloed. So that's got a lot of low end in it, and this is what we're using this sound here for. I've also gone and bounced this down as well. The reason I bounced this down was, once again, I don't want the transient, because I've already got a transient from Dave's kick, and this is why I wanted to keep that kind of element from his kick, because I felt that's where most of the character was. So then we got this and this layered together, and we end up with. And if we look at this on here now that was hiding in the background, you can see we've got a lot more energy going on in our kick drum now. Okay, so we can look at that. You can see it on the here, and you can see it over here. So we've got that nice pitch down and sort of like dropping into what would be the kind of sub bass area around here. So now we can come out of Serum and we can go and look at the sub bass now. So here we are in the bass section. As you can see, there's a few things going on here. Now I put my mid bass and the sub area together. So this sub, you can see it moving around a lot, right? Up and down in volume. It's not as consistent as the mid here, whereas they should actually be more consistent and similar to each other. So your sub should also be like this. You can always draw in some automation to kind of get more movement to it once you kind of got it a bit like this, but it shouldn't be so extreme. So let's mute this back like it was, and then what we've got is this mid bass here. Now what I've done is I've cut it, but you can hear it without the cut, so you can hear it's got a lot of low end in it. Okay, so we can hear there's a lot of clicking going on in there. We don't really want that. I don't know whether that's from side chaining, etc. But I'm not going to be fussing about that too much right now. That is something that would definitely you'd want to fix, though. You'd want to get rid of all that. But let's focus on how we can beef this up. So let's put this back on. With this on, it sounds like this without the sub. So what I've done is I've cut this sort of here on the second harmonic. So you're getting the second harmonic upwards in the mid bass. And then I've gone ahead and made a sub bass here within Serum. So let's open up Serum. And this is the presets. It's very basic. What I've done is I've used the saw round with the square waves. I've filtered these off and put a little bit of movement to this filter with this LFO here. And this LFO is also going to the FM here on oscillator 1, and this is just a tiny bit of FM, and both these things are just adding a little bit of movement, which in minimal drum and bass is kind of what you want with your subs and your low end. Always add a little bit of movement or something to your subs, so don't make them too static. You can get away with it sometimes, but generally I think just to kind of make minimal DnB sound cooler and more groovy and vibey, you should probably add some kind of movement to your low end as well. So this is why I've got this really subtle movement here, and this sounds like this on its own. So you can hear that one kind of just pumping, very basic movement. There's not too much harmonic range going on here, but I do believe this sound opens up as it comes over here. So it sounds like this. So it just opens up at the end there. Nothing too special. I just did that to show you guys that that's something you can consider doing when you're doing like this type of bass, like just to keep a bit of interest on the 16s, the turnarounds, etc. You might want to just do something like that to add a bit of interest. Open up the filter with something a bit more harmonic. You can get some cooler results with something like that. You could also add a bit of like width to it, etc. in the mid-range, etc. So stuff like that could just keep it interesting and keep the listener engaged, basically. And that's it, very basic. There's no effects on it at all, so really simple. If we come out of here now and we listen to this together, we have this now. We can go and look at it on the 4X as well. Okay, so you can really see these all blending together now. We could put some sidechain on this as well. Actually, if we turn this on, you'll just see this kind of disappear here, basically. So you get more of a gap here between this and more of a blend. Here we go. Cool, so you can see now we got a much better signal than we had before. Let's like compare the two together, shall we? So before it sounded like this. Now it sounds like this. Cool, so I hope this one was useful for you guys, and I hope you learned something from this one. Once again, big up to Dave. Don't forget to go and check out his stuff. Links down below. Until the next one, guys, take care of yourselves and peace.